What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to talk about 5 things to make your brew day a little bit easier. The last one's a bit of a doozy, a little bit hard on the pocketbook, but it's a gateway to a lot better beer. Let's go!
Party time brews. This song ain't no good, but we got nothing to lose.
So let's get right into it. The first thing I'm going to talk about is tap stuff. Not that beer boozy type tap stuff, I'm talking about a water tap. It's nothing too fancy on this one, but it is a quick way to soup up your utility sink. The first part that makes it a lot easier is just getting a Y connector for your sink. They only cost about $10 on Amazon, and they can make you do, surprisingly, 2 things at once. The place where this comes in most handy is when you're chilling your wort. Usually at that time you're going to be trying to clean some stuff and chill your wort at the same time, so why not have 2 lines coming off there so you can chill your wort and do the cleaning. Another aspect of this that comes in handy is if you happen to have an RO filter, you can continue filtering that water as you're doing other things as well, namely cleaning. Cleaning is a big part of this. You can keep pumping out that RO water while you're doing other things. It's really annoying to have to disconnect the RO water filter to do something else while that's going on. These Y splitters are also quite useful because it kind of gives you a quick on and off valve. It's just a one spot on and off. And just another little tip with the Y splitter, if you don't already have one from your all-in-one brew in a basket type system, I recommend definitely getting a garden hose to 3/8-inch barb adapter. The barb adapter will come in quite handy for my next recommendation. But before I get to my next recommendation, don't forget to hit that like button. Maybe even consider subscribing if you want to see some more brewing type videos or even some grain to glass videos that I made. But now on to the next one. This one is hose. I'm a professional hoser. There's so many times when I can't seem to find some hose or don't have the right length that I'm always happy to just have a little bit extra on hand to cut and go for something useful. I usually hit up AliExpress.com for my hoses. It's not necessarily that much cheaper, but if you're buying a little bit longer lengths, like the 5 or 10 meter, you can save a few bucks by going to AliExpress if you don't mind waiting the 6 weeks or however long it takes to get there. But as usual, support your homebrew shop. If you got a good homebrew shop that has the hose you're looking for, might as well go there, save some time, and sometimes it's even the same price. A lot of pumps and a lot of the fittings on, especially the stainless steel items, are the 1/2-inch barb. I always try to keep at least a small stock of 3/8-inch hose and the 1/2-inch hose. For these hoses, I always order silicone hoses just because they are heat resistant and they kind of don't flex as much when they get hot. And to tie it in with my previous recommendation of the Y connector with the 3/8-inch barb, a 2 or 3 foot length of 3/8-inch hose makes an awesome cleaning tool. It gives you a little bit of extra length if you need to fill a pot that's not directly in the sink, and you can squeeze it together a little bit at the end to give it a little bit more compressed or powerful jet if you want to try to clean out something like your grain baskets or something like that. And when you're squeezing it together, it's not using as much water, so that's always a bonus. And the other thing that's good about having the 3-foot hose coming out there is that you can do some rinsing outside of your sink. In order to do that, you either can do it into a bucket or you can do it into my next recommendation. My next recommendation is a straightforward cement mixing tray. The medium-sized one from Home Depot are great. They hold about 5 gallons or 20 liters of water, no problem. And they're only about $8. You don't really quite want to fill them to the top all the time because this tray can be hard to move around once it's full. But if you have a submersible pump or something like that, they're easy to pump out back into the sink if you need to, and it'll make it a little bit easier. I love this tray especially for cleaning out my stand-up kind of stainless steel fermenters. I have a couple half-barrel ones, and you can just set the tray under it. I had to trim it up a bit for my spike one, but you can set the tray under it, and then you can just free rinse with the sip ball going through that. And I put my submersible pump right into the tray and just recirculate the either PBW or Star Sand back into the conical in order to clean it. And it's great for a lot of other things too. You can set your hop basket into it, you can set your grain basket into it, you can set a bucket into it, and it's really easy for rinsing off the kegs once you've kind of filled them. Especially with the Sankey type, it's always good to give a rinse of the top out, and it just makes things that much easier when you're not worried as much about splashing it on the ground. Final quick thing it's good for is a kind of a dry rack. It's a easy way, you just have it thrown on the floor and you can just throw your buckets in it or anything that you've just kind of rinsed off in the sink. When you don't have any sink space left, you can just throw it down in there and it'll dry off. The cement mixing tray has lots of uses and it's only $8. And now I'm going to get away from the water and cleaning for the most part and talk about a great little small container I got. One I recommend are these little 11 liter or 12 pint Cambro containers. You can pick them up at Costco in a 2-pack for somewhere in the $23 range. They're see-through, so you have a good idea of what's inside if you want to keep a bunch of different things inside. And a little more on the grain storage. While these things won't carry anywhere near a full bag of grain, they are great for filling up with a couple mini bags of adjuncts in there. And again, you can see through it, so it's easy to find out what you got. And these things will comfortably hold about 5 kilos of grain, which is pretty good for a lot of different recipes when you're going up to maybe 1.060 specific gravity. Another thing you can do with these, if you're always annoyed getting plastic bags from the homebrew shop, you can take them into the homebrew shop and use them to measure out your grains. You can pretty much fit that whole grain bill in one of those. Okay, I lied about the water. We're back to it. Another thing they are good for is filling up to about the 5-liter mark, and that makes for a great mixture point for Star Sandwich. You can just use a 1/4 ounce of that, and that'll mix up nice with that to give you some sanitizer without mixing a whole bucket of it or anything like that. One of the only downsides to these is that they are really good for other household storage, so they do tend to wander away from the beer area. And finally, this one doesn't quite fit in with the rest of them because it is a lot more expensive, but one of my favorite all-time purchases and the step up to being a better brewer I found was actually getting myself a grain mill. I bought the Malt Muncher 3 and made a video on it a while ago, but ever since I had the grain mill, it really opens up to the world of bulk purchases. One of the most satisfying things to do while brewing is watching that grain bill get milled into the bucket. You get a little taste of that grain and just watch it go down, and it's fantastic. As of now, one of the best deals on Amazon I can see would be the Malt Muncher 2. It's the 2-roller version of the one that I have, and that would do just as great of a job, and it's only about $120. A lot more expensive than the rest of the items on this list, but it is a great item. And the best benefit of having the mill is open up to a world of bulk purchases. You can get a 55-pound bag of grain for about $60 now, and if you're buying the rest of your ingredients in bulk, especially the yeast at about $70 or $80 or $100 for a brick of it, you can really get your batches down to probably anywhere between $5 for a real American light lager or something along those lines, or even maybe only $15 or $20 for a decent pale ale. But if this final one was a little too expensive for you, here's another bonus great purchase, and it's a $5 rinse bottle. It rinses stuff. I use it for my pH meter and my refractometer. So that's about it, a bunch of great additions to the home brewery. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite purchase you've ever made was and how it helped your brew day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you won't miss out on any of the party time goodness that's headed your way. Cheers.